October 9th, 2020. A quiet Friday morning in Oak Cliff, Texas. Jennifer Faith walks out of her home with her husband Jamie, their dog trotting beside them. 1 minute into their routine walk, 7 gunshots shatter the morning silence. Jamie Faith, a 49-year-old American Airlines technology director, lies bleeding on the pavement. His wife Jennifer screams hysterically as a masked gunman tackles her to the ground before fleeing in a black pickup truck with a distinctive T decal. But what if I told you that the woman crying over her dying husband's body had orchestrated the entire murder? That she had manipulated a brain-damaged veteran into believing her husband was abusing her? That she had been planning this execution for months while sleeping next to her victim every night? This is the story of Jennifer Faith, a woman who turned love into a weapon, trust into betrayal, and a morning dog walk into a calculated assassination. A case so twisted that even the federal judge called her pure evil before sentencing her to life in prison. Welcome to True Crime Chronicles. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the Jennifer Faith case, where a wife's affair turned deadly and a husband's trust cost him everything. Jamie and Jennifer Faith appear to have it all. Married for over a decade, they lived in a modest home in Oak Cliff, a historic neighborhood in Dallas, Texas. Jamie worked as a technology director for American Airlines, a stable job that provided for their family. Jennifer seemed like the devoted wife, always posting happy photos on social media, talking about their future plans, their shared dreams. But beneath this facade of domestic bliss, something had been rotting for years. Something that would ultimately destroy everything they had built together. You see, Jennifer Faith had been living a double life. While Jamie went to work every day, trusting his wife completely, Jennifer had been conducting a secret affair with a man from her past. Not just any man, a disabled Army veteran named Darren Ruben Lopez, someone she called her one and only love. Lopez lived in Cumberland Furnace, Tennessee, over 300 miles away from Dallas. But distance meant nothing to Jennifer. She had been sending him money, gifts, even providing him with credit cards that she secretly paid off. She was financing her own betrayal with money that should have been going to her family. But here's where it gets disturbing. Lopez wasn't just Jennifer's lover. He was a man struggling with traumatic brain injury from his military service in Iraq. A vulnerable person who trusted Jennifer completely. And Jennifer was about to exploit that trust in the most horrific way imaginable. In the months leading up to that fatal October morning, Jennifer had been carefully laying the groundwork for something unthinkable. She created fake email accounts, assumed false identities, and began spinning a web of lies that would end in blood on a Dallas sidewalk. The question investigators would later ask was simple. How long had Jennifer been planning to kill her husband? And more importantly, why? To understand what happened on that October morning, we need to go back 7 months earlier. That's when Jennifer Faith began crafting what investigators would later call one of the most elaborate deception schemes they'd ever encountered. Using 2 fake email accounts, Jennifer assumed the identities of her own husband and one of her friends. But these weren't playful role-playing games. Jennifer was about to convince a brain-damaged veteran to commit murder. The emails Jennifer sent to Lopez painted a horrifying picture. She told him that Jamie Faith was physically and sexually abusing her. She described beatings, assaults, and psychological torture. To make her lies more convincing, she downloaded stock images of injuries from the internet and attached them to the emails, claiming they were photos of her own wounds. But remember, investigators would later confirm that none of this abuse ever occurred. Jennifer Faith was never abused by her husband. These were elaborate fabrications designed to manipulate a vulnerable man into becoming a killer. Think about the psychology here. Jennifer wasn't just lying to Lopez. She was weaponizing his military training, his protective instincts, his sense of honor. She was turning his desire to protect the woman he loved into a murder plot. And it worked. Over the course of 7 months, Jennifer fed Lopez a steady diet of these fake abuse stories. She portrayed herself as a helpless victim trapped in a dangerous marriage. She made Lopez believe that the only way to save her was to eliminate the threat. her husband. But Jennifer's manipulation went even deeper. She wasn't just lying about abuse. She was also planning their future together. In text messages, the pair discussed using Jamie's life insurance money to buy a home in Tennessee. Jennifer had even initiated a claim with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company for approximately $629,000 in death benefits. She was literally planning to profit from her husband's murder. Now, I want you to imagine what this looked like from Jamie Faith's perspective. He's going to work every day, coming home to a wife who kisses him hello, who makes dinner, who sleeps beside him at night. He has no idea that she's been planning his execution for months. He has no idea that she's been telling another man that he's a monster who deserves to die. The betrayal is almost incomprehensible. But Jennifer Faith wasn't finished yet. The most shocking part of her plan was still to come. October 9th, 2020. 7:30 morgens. Jennifer and Jamie Faith exit their home for what appears to be a routine morning dog walk. It's a beautiful autumn day in Oak Cliff. Neighbors are starting their morning routines. The streets are quiet. But 300 miles away in Tennessee, Darren Lopez is already on the road. He's been driving through the night, his black Nissan Titan pickup truck heading toward Dallas. In his mind, he's not going to commit murder. He's going to rescue the woman he loves from her abusive husband. Lopez arrives in Dallas and does something that reveals the premeditated nature of this crime. He doesn't go directly to the Faith home. Instead, he parks at a neighbor's house and waits. He's conducting surveillance, watching the house, learning the family's routine. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a military-style operation. At exactly 7:31 a.m., 1 minute into their walk, Lopez strikes. He emerges from his hiding spot and opens fire on Jamie Faith. 7 shots ring out in the quiet neighborhood. Jamie, who probably never saw it coming, collapses on the sidewalk. But Lopez isn't finished. He turns the gun on Jennifer, tackling her to the ground. From the outside, it looks like he's trying to kill her too. Jennifer screams, fights back, appears to be struggling for her life. But here's what investigators would later discover. This attack on Jennifer was staged. Lopez wasn't trying to kill her. He was helping her establish an alibi. The tackle, the struggle, the apparent attempt on her life. It was all theater designed to make Jennifer look like a victim instead of a perpetrator. Surveillance audio captured Jennifer's screams during the attack. Video footage showed her crying hysterically afterward. To anyone watching, she looked like a traumatized widow who had barely escaped with her own life. The performance was so convincing that when Dallas Police Detective Chris Walton interviewed Jennifer that morning, she gave what appeared to be a heartbroken widow's testimony. I turned around and I just saw this person shoot and shoot. I couldn't believe I didn't know him. Like why? A lot of shots, 5, 6, maybe I feel like. And he just kept going and I'm like, stop it. And then I saw the person turn and like just dark eyes coming toward me. And so I yelled no, and I started to run, and he tackled me to the ground. He was trying to attack me the whole time I was screaming. But investigators were about to uncover evidence that would expose Jennifer's lies. Evidence that would reveal the true scope of her deception. Evidence that would prove she was never a victim at all. She was the mastermind behind a cold-blooded execution. In the immediate aftermath of Jamie Faith's murder, Dallas police launched a massive investigation. They had a clear description of the suspect vehicle, a black pickup truck with a distinctive T decal on the back window. This detail would prove crucial to cracking the case. But as investigators began digging deeper, they started noticing inconsistencies in Jennifer's story. Small details that didn't quite add up. Behavior that seemed unusual for a grieving widow. The first red flag came when investigators discovered that Jennifer had been in contact with someone from her past. Phone records showed extensive communication with a man named Darren Lopez in Tennessee. When they ran his name, they discovered he was a disabled Army veteran who owned a black pickup truck. The second red flag was even more disturbing. Jennifer had launched a GoFundMe campaign called Support Jennifer Faith to help with expenses following her husband's death. But investigators discovered that money from this campaign was being used to pay off credit cards that Jennifer had given to Lopez. Think about that for a moment. Well-meaning people were donating money to help a grieving widow, and she was using those donations to support her husband's killer. But the most damning evidence came from Jennifer's own actions. When she learned that police were looking for a truck with a T decal, she did something that revealed her true involvement in the crime. She appeared on Dallas's ABC affiliate WFAA and made a public plea for help finding the killer. She looked directly into the camera and begged the public to help investigators locate the truck with the decal. But immediately after the interview, Jennifer texted Lopez with a warning. I woke up in a bit of a panic. Something is eating away at me telling me you need to take the sticker out of the back window of the truck. I don't normally overreact like this. Really think you need to get that sticker off ASAP like today. Lopez removed the sticker the following day. Do you see what happened here? Jennifer went on television and publicly asked for help finding a truck with a specific decal, then immediately warned the driver to remove that decal. She was actively obstructing the investigation into her own husband's murder. But investigators were closing in. They had phone records, financial records, and a growing body of evidence that painted a picture of conspiracy. What they discovered next would expose the full scope of Jennifer's deception. In January 2021, just 3 months after the murder, investigators asked Jennifer to come in for questioning. Her response revealed just how deep her deception ran. January 10th, 2021. Jennifer Faith knows the walls are closing in. Investigators have been asking questions, following paper trails, connecting dots. She's been called in for questioning the next day, and she knows this could be the end of her elaborate deception. So she does what she's been doing for months. She lies. Jennifer sends a text message to Lopez that investigators would later use as evidence of consciousness of guilt. Don't text me Monday. I'm going to factory reset my phone on Sunday night after deleting texts. But Jennifer was too late. Federal agents had already been building a case against both her and Lopez. They had identified the fake email accounts, traced the financial transactions, and connected Lopez to the murder weapon. On January 11th, 2021, just one day after Jennifer tried to destroy evidence, ATF agents arrested Darren Lopez at his home in Cumberland Furnace, Tennessee. The firearm used to kill Jamie Faith was recovered inside Lopez's residence. But even facing arrest, Jennifer couldn't stop lying. Even with Lopez in custody, she continued to maintain her web of deception. She sent messages through a third party, proclaiming her loyalty to the man who had murdered her husband. I am with him, will always be with him regardless of whatever has happened. I needed to be cautious because every communication is being monitored. Please tell him ASAP, I will always be his. Think about what this means. Jennifer Faith's husband had been dead for just 4 months, and she was already professing eternal love for his killer. She was more concerned about supporting Lopez than she was about getting justice for Jamie. On February 2nd, 2021, Jennifer Faith was arrested and charged with obstruction of justice. But federal prosecutors weren't finished. They had uncovered evidence of something much worse than obstruction. They had evidence of murder for hire. In September 2021, prosecutors added a charge of using interstate commerce in the commission of murder for hire, an offense that carries a potential death sentence. Jennifer Faith was facing the possibility of execution for her role in her husband's murder. But prosecutors offered her a deal: plead guilty and receive life in prison instead of the death penalty. And that the full scope of her deception was finally revealed. February 2022. Jennifer Faith stood before a federal judge and admitted to orchestrating her husband's murder. But her confession revealed details that were even more disturbing than investigators had imagined. She admitted that she had never been abused by her husband. The photos of injuries she had sent to Lopez were fake, downloaded from the internet, and used to manipulate a brain-damaged veteran into believing she was in danger. She admitted that she had used Lopez's military training and protective instincts against him. She had turned his desire to save her into a weapon of murder. She admitted that she had planned to use her husband's life insurance money to start a new life with Lopez in Tennessee. She had literally planned to profit from Jamie's death. But perhaps most disturbing of all, she admitted that she had been present during the murder. She had walked out of her home with her husband, knowing that Lopez was waiting to kill him. She had looked Jamie in the eye, knowing it would be the last time he saw her alive. The betrayal was complete. Jennifer Faith had convinced a vulnerable man to murder her husband, then played the grieving widow while secretly supporting the killer with money donated by people who believed she was a victim. But even in her confession, Jennifer couldn't stop lying. Even after admitting to the crime, she continued to send messages to Lopez claiming she had never deceived him. Just a quick note to say, I never lied to you, and I never sent you emails from any account but mine, as me. There's a ton more I wish I could say, but I can't right now. On June 21st, 2022, Jennifer Faith appeared before United States District Judge Jane J. Boyle for sentencing. The judge had reviewed all the evidence, heard all the testimony, and seen all the lies. What she said next would echo through the courtroom and define Jennifer Faith's legacy forever. Judge Jane J. Boyle looked directly at Jennifer Faith and delivered a judgment that captured the horror of her crimes. Pure evil. Those are the words the judge used to describe Jennifer Faith before sentencing her to life in federal prison without the possibility of parole. She also ordered Jennifer to pay $6,500 in restitution to Jamie's family for funeral expenses and a $250,000 fine. U.S. Attorney Chad Meacham summed up the case perfectly. Ms. Faith put on quite a performance in the wake of her husband's murder. She poured out her sob story to reporters and law enforcement, then headed home to orchestrate her cover-up. But crocodile tears didn't stop the feds. The Jennifer Faith case reveals something deeply disturbing about human nature. It shows how trust can be weaponized, how love can be manipulated, and how the people closest to us can sometimes be the greatest threat to our safety. Jamie Faith went to work every day, came home to his wife, and never suspected that she was planning his execution. He trusted her completely, and that trust cost him everything. Darren Lopez, the man who pulled the trigger, remains in custody facing both state murder charges and federal firearms charges. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges, but the evidence against him is overwhelming. In the end, Jennifer Faith's elaborate deception destroyed 3 lives: her husband's, her own, and that of the man she manipulated into becoming a killer. She turned love into a weapon and trust into a death sentence. So what can we learn from this case? Perhaps it's that the most dangerous predators aren't the ones who attack strangers in dark alleys. They're the ones who sleep beside us, who know our routines, who have access to our lives and our trust. Jennifer Faith will spend the rest of her life in federal prison, and Jamie Faith will never come home. A marriage that should have been built on love and trust instead became a monument to betrayal and murder. This has been True Crime Chronicles. Thank you for joining us for this investigation into one of the most shocking cases of spousal murder in recent memory. If you found this case as disturbing as we did, let us know in the comments below. What do you think motivated Jennifer Faith to orchestrate such an elaborate murder plot? And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the cases that shocked the world. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the greatest danger comes from the people we trust most.